Davante Adams to the Chicago Bears. Could it happen? Let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears and here to talk about kind of a rumor, if you will, that's been just floating all over Twitter, the social media sphere, if you will, about Davante Adams and a bunch of Bears fans clamoring for the Bears to go out and make a run for Davante Adams after the news that Derek Carr has been benched by the Raiders. So a lot to unpack here, but basically I'm going to be talking about this and whether or not this, story is even, realistic to expect in terms of Davante Adams to the Chicago Bears. So let's start with the benching first and foremost of Derek Carr. So Derek Carr got benched by the Las Vegas Raiders for Jarrett Stidham, which to me doesn't make much sense. I get it that, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but what is going on here where you have to bench your starting quarterback and he has to be away from the team for 2 weeks? Like, Josh McDaniels is not handling the situation right. I'm sorry, he's just not. But it looks like they are kind of done with Derek Carr. How do you come back from this? And Derek Carr is probably not going to be the Raiders quarterback next year. Very strong possibility of that. And so how does this all lead back to the Bears? Well, if Derek Carr is not going to be the Raiders starting quarterback next season, Davante Adams certainly is not going to want to be there. One of the reasons he came to Las Vegas was because of his college buddy Derek Carr. And you expect Davante Adams to play his remaining prime years with Jarrett Stidham? Really? I don't think so. And Davante's owed a lot of money, but he's already asked out once. Who's to say he can't do it again? So that's the reason why Derek Carr's benching leads directly to Davante Adams' availability or potential of availability. So if the Raiders are in fact rebuilding and they decide they want to move off of Davante Adams, well, you take a look at the Chicago Bears, who have a clear need for a number one wide receiver. And make no mistake about it, Davante Adams is a number one wide receiver, arguably the best in the NFL. And the Bears are probably going to have the number 1 or 2 overall pick. The Raiders, they're going to be around the 8-9 range, if you will, in terms of the first round. And so they could potentially look to trade with the Bears for that number 1 or number 2 overall pick. Go ahead and grab their quarterback of the future in C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Have that replacement for Derek Carr. And then in that package, Davante probably gets shipped to Chicago. And a bunch of more picks go the other way where the Bears kind of get that 8th pick and Davante and whatnot. I don't have the full details of that because it's very complicated and we can probably paint a million scenarios. Point I'm trying to make to you is this is kind of the pathway of how this would happen. Now, talking about how it would happen and it actually happening, 2 completely different things. Does this actually happen? No, I don't believe so. Look, Davante Adams certainly could ask out, but he is not going to want to go to a team that is going to be in year 2 of a rebuild. Davante Adams is on the back end of his prime. He is going to want to play for a contender. He's going to want to play for a team that's ready to win now. The Chicago Bears could make a big leap next year, but you can't seriously say that they are right away going to be Super Bowl contenders. This is still a natural rebuild. It takes progressions, right? And so Davante Adams, as much as people like Justin Fields, he's going to see that situation and say it's a young quarterback going into his 3rd year. They're not a Super Bowl contender. They've got a lot of holes on that team. He's not going to want to come here. Now, again, if he doesn't have a choice, he gets traded. That's another thing. But my point is, I'm not counting on it because I think Davante wants to be on a legitimate contender in the last few years of his prime. And that's just not the Bears. And also, he is 30 years old. And so you would be trading a lot of draft capital for a guy who is going to be on the back end of his prime when he doesn't fit the timeline. Now, it is Davante Adams, and you're going to get some great years out of him, absolutely. But the amount of capital you will have to trade away to get him, it's going to be a lot. And we just gave up a 2nd-round pick for Chase Claypool. I don't foresee Ryan Poles trading away more capital to go out and get Davante Adams. I think it's more likely that they go ahead and they maybe look to draft a receiver, get somebody in free agency, or go for a guy who might be a little bit cheaper with the price tag, let's say a DeAndre Hopkins. And Mike Evans could be available the year after next year. So who knows? There's other guys out there. Davante is the big flashy name, but he's going to come with a big fat price tag. And he is 30. So that's the issue here. So ultimately, folks, love the dreams that the Bears fans have, love the scenarios here, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is not something that I foresee happening. Would love to be wrong. Davante to the Bears. Who wouldn't want Justin Fields to have a bona fide number one receiver? But I'm just being a realist. I don't see it happening. I think Davante is more likely to go to another team that's a contender right here, right now, versus the Chicago Bears. So that's where I'm at with this. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Do you see any scenario where Davante Adams goes to the Chicago Bears? I don't, as always.